Let your grip stay strong. No shortcut, no secret key. Just work, just will, just master. Ray. No fear in your eyes. You were made to. You're a retail warrior built to survive. Running your store like you're born to thrive. From day one hustle to late night close. You got the fire and it always shows. This is retail mastery, now you lead. Every action, every need. Stand up, gear up, own your ground. This is where the real ones are found. You've seen the turnover, felt the sting. Lost good people, had to rebuild everything. But now you've got a system that holds, a plan that's tight, a mindset bold. Check the logins, change the codes, clear the access before it explodes. You're not just working, you're locking it down, setting the tone for the whole damn town. No fear.
Hey, Greg, that's the first time I've had the robot curse for me. He said, damn.
Hey, you did it.
He did it. Hey, man. So you notice I changed the song up a little bit.
I'll tell you what, I was jamming out.
You're not a fan of Johann Bach. But
Johann Sebastian Bach?
yeah, Johann.
Okay.
Johann. that's my Suno name. So
I
hey,
like
I
it.
noticed that your background looks a little different. Where are we today?
Yeah, so we are on the road in Iowa. We are near Des Moines, Iowa today on the way to visit a customer.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So this is the last time we talked, you were very, very excited about this. This is about
Absolutely.
margins. And you said something that intrigued me, and anybody out there that's viewing this right now, if I told you, hey man, you can sell less and actually make more. That's what I want people to walk away from this session with. Like, you don't have to, and I know a lot of people, maybe they've been doing the same thing for so long that they don't see a way that, anything changes, and just some slight tweaking of margins can actually do some wizardry for their bottom line.
Absolutely. And that is what gets me excited, Joel, is we're all in this business to make money. And there are certain benchmarks and traps, I think, that we all hear, that we work towards, that are all well-intentioned, but they're not always what's best for our business. And one of the big themes I'll talk about today is gross profit percentage versus gross profit dollars. And I'm excited to expand on that more, just how important the gross profit dollars are in our business. Being the firearms world, it's so unique compared to other retail environments where our number one seller, the item that we're going to move most of, firearms, have by far the lowest margin. And obviously the accessories, ammunition, all of the other items we sell have higher percentages. I just said it. See, they have the lowest margin. They have the lowest margin percentage, not necessarily the lowest margin dollars. And so after this call, I'm just hoping everyone can kind of evaluate their own business and see how can I make little tweaks here, little tweaks there to really improve those gross profit dollars at the bottom of your P&L. Well,
Yes,
a little higher up. We want net to be good as well.
No, but you're right. That's what I do want you to, because again, when we say margins, it can mean multiple things, right? It's not just, it's the profit, it's the percentage, it's all these other, and I am not a math wizard, man, at all. Hey, just a little FYI. When I got back out of the service, I had survived Afghanistan. This was in 2002. Survived Afghanistan, feeling good, feeling like I'm on top of the world. The first time I ever had anxiety was in an algebra class when I went back to school, and I was like, okay, man, I am not used to this. I've had people literally not want me to be alive anymore, and I'm not able to handle the math. So please keep that in mind. There may be others out there that there's a thing called math anxiety. So
yes,
be easy with this, man.
Definitely. Well, let's start there. Let's get some definitions taken care of. Okay. And I don't always use these correctly in common speech, so I'm going to do my very best on this call to use the proper terminology. gross margin percentage is really gross margin percentage and gross margin dollars are the two big terms that I'm going to be focusing on today. And your gross margin percentage is very simple. It's what did you sell it for? Subtract how much it cost you, and then divide that number by what you sold it for. So to give you a real example, very easy, $10. You sold something for $10. It cost you $5. So then you've got 10 minus 5 is 5 divided by your 10 gives you a 50% gross margin percentage or a gross profit percentage. I'll actually use those terms interchangeably as well. Now, you can get into some other things where you get into net margins, and net margins are going to include all of the other expenses that don't refer to just cost of goods sold. So, and COGS, that's another thing. I may say COGS, that just stands for cost of goods sold. So that's how much did you pay for it. With a net margin, it's going to factor in additionally rent, payroll, marketing, utilities, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to focus too much on that because I look at those as fixed costs, generally speaking, that are going to be spread across your every item you sell, regardless of what it is.
Right.
So certainly important, but I think from a business standpoint, you're going to get that net margin through all your expenses at the bottom of your P&L. Definitely very important, but it doesn't really apply to your product mix. It doesn't apply to kind of your strategy of what you're selling necessarily. Now, of course, there's exceptions, but generally speaking. So one of the big things, and another thing I'll touch on when we're talking definitions, is margin versus markup. That is something that people do get confused about a lot, where markup is basically what percentage from your cost of goods sold are you marking it up. So not your gross profit percentage, how much profit is a percentage of that overall sale, but how many times are you marking it up from the cost. So using kind of the same numbers, a $5 item that you sold for $8, you would have a $3 difference there. So you're going to have a 60% markup on that. Basically, the difference going into your cost, into your COGS. So margins is what we're talking about today. Gross margin, gross profit, COGS, cost of goods sold. I think from there, that's a pretty good baseline of the terms I'll be using. But Joel, please always, as always, let me know if something isn't clear, and I'm happy to expand on it.
Okay.
So, last time we talked about promotions that matter, and that's kind of what got me started on where I think this could really matter. And to touch on that, I think it makes sense to sort of start with just a very easy example, and it revolves around product mix. And product mix can be perceived two different ways. The first way product mix comes into play is going to be in what is your inventory product mix. And what I mean by that roughly is what percentage of your items are in what categories. So, for example, if you've got $100,000 of inventory in stock, $50,000 is eaten up by firearms. So you've got a 50% of your product mix is firearms. Maybe 30% is accessories, and 20% is ammunition. So from those numbers, if you know the breakdown of your inventory numbers, you can then go back to your gross profit percentage by category and say, all right, on those, that $50,000 worth of firearms, I know I'm going to get 12% gross profit percentage on that. So, using that, I like to give myself hard numbers on the fly, Joel. So talk about math anxiety, but we'll take that down. It'll be 50,000. The 2% is $60,000. So $60,000 on that $500,000 is what you can make at 12% gross profit percentage. Now, on the 30% that we said was accessories, let's say we get 30% on those. We had $100,000 in inventory. That was $30,000 worth of accessories. So on those $30,000 worth of accessories, that is worth, $90,000. I'm sorry, that is worth $9,000 worth of profit there. So already you can kind of see, even though there's less of it, you need to track both the percentage and the margin dollars to see where your margin dollars can be maximized. Is it easier to sell $500 worth of accessories or a $500 firearm, or three $500 firearms, to actually make it even, if you will? So those are the kind of questions I think that we all need to, as we review our business, we need to ask ourselves is, yes, firearms are a lower margin percentage. However, they typically make up a bigger portion of your sales. And to kind of circle back, if firearms are 50% of your inventory, a good rule of thumb is they should be about 50% of your sales in most cases. You want to make sure your inventory mix matches your sales mix. So if firearms only account for 30% of your sales and they're making up 50% of your inventory, that probably speaks to a lot of missed opportunities that you have, where you could be spending those dollars more wisely on the higher margin percentage items, because they work together. Your sales and your inventory kind of go back and forth there. So tracking so far, I know I'm jumping all over the place. I like to use you, Joel, as my my measuring stick.
Yeah, and I'm using the thing that I told you I made for this as we're going along, because I have questions, and it's blowing my mind because it's literally just telling me what you're telling me. So this is freaking awesome.
All right, great. I'm excited to show that to everybody. So we moving on, talking about again, sort of touching on what we talked about last time, but the margin killers, discounts, vendors, bad math, all of those type of situations can really eat into your margin. So won't stress it too much, but habitual discounting is never a good thing. You never want to just constantly put things on discount. It forces your margin down. One we didn't talk about much, where you can really get into your margin, is making sure you're buying from the correct vendor. We all fall into habits where it's very easy to just get those items fulfilled from the same distributor, the same resource. I'd encourage everyone to really shop around. Yeah. I mean, it's just like we do with our own money. Shop around. It may not seem like much, but $8 on a gun, as many times as you're going to buy that gun, is really going to make a difference in the long run. Yes. And bundles, again, I had written that down. I know we talked about it last time, just making sure that those bundles make sense from a cumulative margin standpoint. If the guns being lower margin, the accessories being higher margin, we just need to, you need to make sure you take those complete packages and get a good mixed margin. You take all of the cost of goods sold, you add them up, you take your sales price, and you calculate a new margin based on that bundle. So again, you just want to make sure that you're looking at all of those. Another thing is a pricing review. So a lot of us, you get a new item in, or a new item comes through distribution, you set the price one time, and then you may or may not look at it ever again. Doing just a regular review of those prices and those margins will help just tremendously. It really, that is where there are hidden dollars with doing very minimum work. I believe most of us could find some items that are not priced correctly just because we said it once and we forgot it forgot to come back to it. We all have a million things to do, but everything we're doing is focused on making the business money. So that's where this is one of the hidden pieces of the business that very easily gets forgotten, but can make the biggest difference with the least amount of effort. So again, reviewing pricing. So kind of to touch back on the product mix though, I kind of want to just walk through a scenario, because everything you hear, every conference you go to, every, product centered conversation you have, everybody says, oh, we're trying to sell more accessories. We're trying to, get that gross profit percentage up.
Right.
We really need to look at those dollars. And the example I'm going to give you is that $500 gun we're talking about, at 12 points, we make $60 on that $500 gun. It's one sale. You know, it's obviously got a little more work involved in it. But for those $60 to be made in accessories, if you work it the other way and say, okay, how many accessories do I need to sell in order to get that same $60? You're talking, yeah, it's $180, but now that's probably 4 or 5 items. So it's more difficult to get 4 or 5 items versus that one firearm that generally is the easiest sale to make. So why I'm bringing that up is I want to make sure we all just think about our businesses in a way where, yes, the gross profit percentage numbers are good, but as you increase the firearm sales, which may be easier for some of you, obviously your gross profit dollars are going to go up and your overall sales numbers will go up, but your margin may fall. But that's okay, because at the end of the day, your I say your margin's going to fall. This is where I get myself in trouble. Your gross margin percentage is going to fall. Your gross margin dollars are going to rise in that scenario. So you really have the ability to do more with less work. Now, that doesn't always work, but you want to make sure that we're all strategizing and we're thinking about it logically and we have a plan, not just getting stuck on that. We need to hit 35% gross profit percentage, or we need to hit 40%, whatever it may be.
Right.
You really, I think, need to have a goal for gross profit dollars. And that kind of dovetails into how we're all looking at our business. Margins are a very important KPI. And with KPI, what I mean is key performance indicator. We should all have some key performance indicators that we're tracking. And I may have said this before, I'm not sure, but I heard it at a conference one time. Your business is like an airplane cockpit where there's 30 dials all around. How do you know what to do? How do you know how to fly the plane? There's so many different dials. Where do we know what's out of whack? What's right? What's wrong? Well, all of those dials feed up to bigger dials, and there's 5 or 6 dials that you can look at very quickly. And if one of those dials is off, then it tells you, okay, which addition dials should I look at to be able to make the adjustments I need to keep this plane flying correctly?
Right.
So that margin is absolutely one of those KPIs. And from a retail perspective, it's not too many that you need to really track to make a really measurable difference in your business. It's really margin. It's overall revenue. And when I say margin, you do want to track both your percentage and your dollars, but I would absolutely make sure you're tracking and the dollars as well, because the dollars are the most important from that scenario. The other ones you want to track probably is your labor. That's the biggest expense that most of us incur. Labor rate is a very good metric you can get from labor that makes it easier to track. And labor rate is simply your labor divided by your sales over a period of time. And we're all going to have different numbers based on how our businesses are unique. So you'll have to kind of come up with your own individual benchmark. But most of the time, once you've tracked it one time, then the next time you track it, you're going to know, am I improving or am I declining? And you want to just keep that going. Now, a little off topic, but with labor rates specifically, you do want to be careful, because at some point you get to a point where your labor rate gets so low and you don't want to go any lower, because if you keep trying to push it lower, that expense just gets so small, but your revenue, shrinks as well, just not at the same rate. So there's certainly some play there that you need to do there, but getting the information, looking at the information is really the most important step there. Making sure that you're tracking it, you've got your own benchmark, and that you're doing it regularly, whether that's weekly, whether that's monthly. Either one works depending on your scenario, but start tracking it. And when you start tracking it and you just start looking at it, it's amazing how quick improvements will be made. And those small improvements in margin dollars are going to make the biggest difference in your overall business. So,
Okay, so just to step in here because I notice you're doing something and it's not turning pages. Have you given up on paper? Are you looking at a
well,
screen right now?
you know what I did, Joel? I did look at a screen. You're 100% correct. Now I haven't given up on paper. I'm on the road and I don't have a printer in my rental car. So
I got
yeah,
you.
and unfortunately the coffee shop did not have. Oh, that's great.
That's awesome.
Yes. No, but really, Joel, if you want to show the margin tool, that's what I was looking at is
Yeah. So what you were just like, as you're going along, let me share my screen here. As you're going along, I am just asking questions. Again, I'm coming at this as a complete amateur, right? And not knowing anything of what I'm talking about. But as you can see right here, and I'll go full screen here so they won't see us. So if you've got to go do anything, you can. But when you were talking, I said, what is margin versus markup? And then it literally gives me the math here. And which blows my mind. You know what I'm saying? It's these tools, you don't have to know anything. You just have to know what to ask. And then the more proficient you get at asking, the better data you're going to get back. Because as you can see, I just said, what is margin versus markup? And then it goes into margin, aka gross profit margin, focuses on the selling price. It's the percentage of the selling price that is profit. And then it gives you the formula here. And this may be simple to you, Greg, but this stuff's blowing my mind,
Yeah, it's very interesting stuff. I mean, it's not overly complicated, but you're right, Joel. If you don't know what it is, you don't know what it is. And
right.
Once you understand it, it can make a big difference.
And that's why there will always need to be humans doing what we're doing right now, which is talking about this, right? We're talking about, like, you have to have humans, because the humans will give you the questions to ask. Like, you don't even know what to ask. You know what I mean? So I'm just asking as we're going along here. And then I said, again, this is very, very a broad question, right? I'm not being specific about anything. Where can I maximize margin dollars? Because I noticed you said margin dollars, and he's like, maximizing margin dollars, just not just margin percentage, because that was your point, is all about prioritizing high impact areas in your product mix and operations. Here's where smart firearms retailers often unlock the most margin. And I think you actually mentioned accessories, which is probably why I smiled real big, because you just mentioned something. And I'm like, my gosh, man, he's got the mind of a robot. We're going to have to get you tested, by the way, Greg.
I don't do well in tests, Joel.
Then here's a really broad question. What is inventory mix and sales mix? Like, that's what an open-ended question, but the robot obviously thought it was a great question. Understanding inventory mix and sales mix helps you fine-tune what you stock and push to maximize margin dollars. And then it goes into and gives you some examples. There was one that you did. What are margin killers? So this is when I really smiled big. You were talking about margin killers, and the first thing you said before anything was, don't just discount. Like, just don't go discount to discount. And the robot says, yeah, don't discount without strategy. You know what I mean? 10% off everything might feel good, but if you're looking on 15 to 20% firearm margins, you're burning profit. Better move, use value adds, free cleaning kit, instead of price drops. And then it gives you some more examples. Let me see what the last one was. Oh yeah. What is a pricing review? Because again, we don't know the questions to ask. If we want to do all the things that you're talking about, it's like, well, I don't even know, like, where do I start? Like, you're giving me a good 40,000 foot view and I've got a basic understanding, but where do I start? And listening more and more to you, I'm coming up with the questions to ask. And again, this is an open-ended question. Like, it doesn't know me from anybody. Like, when I share this bot with you guys, it's going to know you just like it knows me, which is, it doesn't know anything. It just knows all the knowledge that it has access to out there in the ether. So what is a pricing review. A pricing review is a strategic deep dive into your current pricing to ensure it's aligned with your profit goals, market conditions, and inventory realities. In firearms retail, it's one of your most powerful tools to defend and grow your margins. And then it goes into what a pricing review covers. This stuff's just blowing my mind, Greg, because there's no reason why everybody out there just can't absolutely crush it. Oh, this is another one. And then I think this is the last one because I don't want to take up all your time. They don't want to hear me talking to a robot. I have no life, guys. Have patience with me. Then I said, how can I set a goal for gross profit dollars? Setting a goal for gross profit. Again, Greg, that's a pretty open-ended question, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
it is.
But this is a thread that you guys, if you just pull that one thread, it's going to snowball, right? It's just going to turn into, you're going to get a better vision of what you're wanting to do. Setting a goal for gross profit dollars is a smart move. It keeps you focused on what actually matters. How much money you keep, not just how much you sell. Here's a step-by-step guide tailored for firearms retailers. Now, this is just tailored for firearms retailers. It's not tailored for you specifically out there. But we said the first thing we do is start with your revenue goal. Let's say you want to hit $100,000 in monthly sales. 2, set target gross margins. Look at your current mix. You might average firearms 15 to 20%, accessories 40 to 60%, optics 30 to 50, and services 70 to 90. If your current blend averages 25% margin, that's your baseline. Do the math. We have robots now, Greg, that will do the math for us. Thank you, God, because I don't want to do math. What else do we have here? Break it down by category. This is just magical stuff. And I think this, I know I keep going, but I think this is the last one. How does labor play into this? Because you were talking about, I think that's one of the last things you covered was look at your labor. And one thing that just jumped out to me that it's kind of if it's happening in your shop right now, you probably don't even know it and you're not paying attention to it, which means you can't really be grateful for it. But if you have people in there that know how to sight or install optics, and that's a value add for that customer and for you because you've got an employee that knows how to do more than just cash people out. You know what I mean? Zeroing included with rifle purchase, free cleaning class with gun buy. These are just different things that you can do to lower the impact of that, what labor is costing you in your business. Now, Greg, here's what I want to ask. If I had some sales reports, do you think maybe the robot would really be able to bore down and be like, okay, hey, moron, here's what I want you to do.
You stole my thunder. That's exactly what I was going to say is
yes.
I've been working more and more with ChatGPT, and I've been amazed at as you add in reports, when you feed it data, it gives you amazing results back. It analyzes, it sorts. And the other part, you're talking, this is for firearms retailers, start talking to the robot, telling it, hey, we don't do business this way. We do it this way. Can you reevaluate and give me another suggestion now that you know more about me? And it's amazing the ideas it will give you and all of the math. Like you said, Joel, everything I'm talking about here, you have a question about it, put it into this bot, and it's amazing what you'll get back. And I know I keep repeating myself, but the difference in your business, in the dollars you will make, will be measurable and will be less effort than going out and spending a fortune on marketing or trying to pull more people into your stores. It's anything that you can do internally, you have more control over. You can adjust more quickly, but it's boring stuff. I mean, it's boring to a lot of us. It's not as exciting, but it's more, I shouldn't say more. All pieces are important, but it's just as important as any other part of your business.
And anytime, this is just a basic AI pro tip. Anytime you're talking to the robot, whatever robot it is, if it's a specialized robot, like you have access to this, and you really don't know, like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. What you could do with that robot, that specialized robot, is say, I don't even know the questions to ask. Give me the top 10 questions I, as a business owner, should be asking, right? It's going to give you the questions to ask. Then you ask the questions, and then it's going to answer them, based upon any information that you give it. If one of the things it says is, I need to know a little bit more about your business, just tell me about your business. What you could do, I don't know. I've never tried this, but I know we're headed there. And it may work now. Take your URL and just throw it in there and say, this is my business. Here's my online business. It may ask for sales reports. If it does, if you're using Core Store, print out whatever relevant sales report you need, right? Inventory reports. And I'm telling you, there's probably tens of thousands of dollars hiding in your inventory right now. It's just hiding there. If it's sold all right now, you would lose that tens of thousands of dollars because you're floating, you're getting by, but it just requires that little bit of extra effort, which before the past 2 or 3 years was a lot of effort, right? Now, there's no excuse why every business owner out there shouldn't have an army of robots to go and, hey, I need you to give me some advice on this, right? We got a really good deal on these Glocks. How can I really maximize these margins? Because I've got even a better deal than what I usually get, and I want to do this. And it's going to come up with some mind-blowing ideas. So please use this stuff. There's no reason why everybody can't be crushing it right now. You know what I'm saying? So sorry, Greg, I get on my soapbox because I see this stuff and I'm like, man, this is the most powerful the average human has. This is the most power they've ever had at their fingertips. You know what I mean? It's amazing. Sure. It's just amazing.
No, and it even gets into, could you imagine if you had an employee that you could ask questions like that to, that would give you answers that quickly? I mean, we can't find them. It's a resource that just doesn't even exist until now in time. We have to maximize that. And I was slow to the party with AI, and in the last 6 months, I've been using it more and more, and it's shocking what it can produce and how much it really can help your business. And I'll ask you a question, Joel, for everybody else may know this, but how does one find that bot, or how do they get access to that?
I'm going to share it in the chat. I just don't want to share it now because I want them to pay attention to you.
No, 100%.
Hey,
no, I appreciate it.
So Colleen, you just asked the question, and I'm like, I wonder if the robot's smart enough. And you tell me, Greg, she asked what reports would be most beneficial to share with our robots. And here's what the margin robot told me. It's sales by category report.
Yep.
Break it down by firearms, optics, accessories, ammo, services. And then you got top selling SKUs, low margin, negative margin SKUs, inventory on hand versus aged inventory, margin by salesperson or register. So let's just see if this makes sense to you, Greg. Why? Helps identify who's protecting or killing margin. Include salesperson sales, gross profit, margin percentage. What I'll look for, training opportunities and margin-minded team members to incentivize. So you load these reports, and based upon what it can do, it's going to offer suggestions that maybe you're not thinking about. You know what I mean? Maybe it's like, if you're running a sales report and you've got who sold all the items in there in that report, it may, you're just looking at numbers. It may come back and say, hey, Greg is really good with so-and-so. It might be good to send him to like a Glock armorer's course and then have him offer. I mean, it would take off from there. And then you'd be like, well, how would I pay for that? And it would be like, well, if you take those next 50 Glocks you sell and blah, 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 you'll be able to do it, or,
Absolutely.
Or you can say, hey, can you see if you could ask it, do you know if there's anywhere locally that I could do like a Glock armorer's course, and just have it go look, just have your little robot go out there in the ether and look. If you can think it, you could probably do it with these robots. But Colleen, that's what you would do. Like if I were, in your shoes, and I would be like, well, I don't know what, reports. First thing I would do is I would just go and tell the robot, I have no idea what you need from me to help me really maximize my margins. So can you give me the top 15 to 20 questions I should be asking you to help me? And then just go step by step, and it's going to walk you through everything. And again, if you have questions, it's like a human. Greg, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. What'd you say? You could just go back, and it's quite amazing what these things can do. But this is not an AI. This is not an AI webinar, but it will simplify you maximizing those margins. Absolutely. So,
well, and to expand on that, just the idea of one of those reports the robot suggested gave me another idea. And discount by employee is something I've looked at in my past. So if you see, typically if an employee has low margin, what they're doing is they're discounting way too much, or to all of their buddies or all the people that come in regularly, any of that kind of thing. So discounts by employee is a good place to start, to just make quick traction, very, very quick traction.
Yeah. And then if you do find out somebody's doing that, you can literally ask the robot, what's the best way to deal with this? And then it will give you creative ways to be like, well, you could do this. And, because you don't want to lose a good employee. If the guy's selling a lot, it may only be because he's discounting, but maybe he's just discounting because he's a nice guy,
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of times it's just a conversation, and showing the data, just saying, hey, this is where we're landing. I'm a big believer in telling people the big picture, and it's not just coming from nowhere. So letting them know, hey, here's the discounts that are occurring within the store. You're responsible for 60% of them. It's making a difference of X number of dollars down to the bottom line. Appreciate everything you're doing, but we've just got to be more conservative on these discounts.
Right.
And generally, that guy who's selling a bunch of stuff wants to do well. That's why he's selling a bunch of stuff. So it usually works out with just very easy conversations.
Awesome. I was reading this question. When I try to get it to simplify, most of the time it just repeats the same exact thing. Maybe I should say, explain it like yes, I know you're making a joke right now, Phil, but I'm not joking. I try to be as dumb as possible because the robot already knows. It has access to all the knowledge, all the digitized knowledge that we probably know of, up to a certain point. So yeah, if you're not getting back the answers that because intrinsically, Greg, we know where we want to be, right? We just don't know how to get there, right? So if you can explain to the robot, like, no, I want to do this, then it will, it will help you with whatever it is that you're wanting to do. A lot of times the reason we don't like the robots is because they're just reflecting a negative or a toxic part of us, right? Because that's all they're doing. They're just mirroring the user. So when people say, I hate this AI, it's like, you've either not used it or you don't like you.
I feel like this is a Black Mirror episode the next season or something.
Well, it is. I mean, it's the AI is only there to give you what you're asking for now, right? They're not trying to kill us now, but I'm sure that day's coming. So really just refine and Phil, I'll be honest with you. This is how stupidly simple it is. If you went back and said, can you please tell me how to ask you this? Believe it or not, it will give you a prompt. If you re-enter that prompt in the same chat, it will give you a different answer, probably more aligned to what you're looking for, right? Because the robots obviously know how to talk to the robots better than we do. They know robot better than we know robot. So that's what I would do. I've taken up way too much of your time, Greg, so I want you to go on.
No, you haven't, Joel. I don't have a whole lot more. I wanted to, though, touch on the employee part and the just speaking with your employees and visibility. It's a common theme you'll hear from me as we go through this series. Getting these numbers, just what is as simple as what was your gross profit percentage last month? Or what was it? Weekly is probably better than monthly, truthfully, but what was it last week? And hey, guys, here, we want to make it, we want to make improvement this week. Doing just that, not a thing more, just posting it on a board, talking about it, making sure everybody knows what those numbers are. You will see that number grow. People will start making small changes, giving sales training. And it's not just the sales training of would you like fries with that, but it's really the sales training of just even just offering, understanding what they're buying, being able to offer additional items, either programmatically or just through the sales strategy. Online, obviously, you can do a little bit more than you can when somebody's right in front of you, as far as programmatically goes. But when somebody's right in front of you, you don't want the one size fits all. You don't want to tell, hey, every firearm needs a holster. You have to offer a holster with every single firearm. Right. That's not the strategy I would use. But I would say, hey, ask questions of how they're going to use the firearm. What's their plan? And then from there, find a suggestion that would work. I mean, we always have the ones you can go back to, both types of ammo, target and defense ammo. Of course, somebody needs safe storage, all that kind of stuff where you can always default back to. But we're having conversations with these people. So when you're having those conversations, that's where you can really maximize. And I think just a little bit of time with your sales team, a little bit of visibility will make a big, big difference. And also making sure people are in places to succeed. And what I mean by that is if your store is set up to where the gun counter, nobody can get out from behind the gun counter to grab something to put it on a counter. I've always thought it was a great idea to have, your 9mm ammo, even if you've got it out on the floor, having some stacked up to where a sales guy behind the counter can grab it really easily, put it down on the counter and say, hey, this goes with this, Glock 26. You need both types of 9mm ammunition, and here's some right here. Anytime you can put it on the counter makes it a little bit easier. Or, hey, you're with a customer one-on-one, walk from behind that counter, go out onto the floor with them and shop next to them and grab what they need and bring it back. Those types of little behavior changes will make all the difference in the world. Focusing too on some of your slower times. I get on a Saturday, you may not be able to walk out from behind the counter because you've got 4 more people behind that person ready to go. But on a Tuesday, when you've got somebody in there, you need to be maximizing every opportunity you have there. Right. And I know everybody on this call probably already knows that, but conveying that message to your staff, they may not realize that. They don't look at the business the same way, most people on this call probably do. So just sharing your information on what changes you'd like, generally, people want to do a good job. I mean, they will go out and they will execute. Another thing you can do is you can get into internal contests. That's a big driver in the retail world and there's a ton of different ways you could do it. You could do it based on margin. You could do it based on, items per transaction is another one that you could track. How many items for each transaction is a salesperson selling? It's probably going to be a 1 point something, but okay, if it's a 1.5 and store average is a 1.7, you can say, hey, anybody that gets over a 2 or a 1.8 or whatever the number may be, just anything north of where you're at is, eligible for this or gets some carrot at the other end. Those have worked very well in my experience.
And it took so much time to get at the data because everything you're talking about has to bubble up from those numbers, right? And somebody has to sit down and look at a report and figure out like, okay, where's this going? Who's doing the best? Who do we need to reward more? All that. Now you don't have to. You can get the answers in just a few seconds, so there's no reason why the things that used to require so much effort and money and time to implement can just be done, at the drop of a hat now. So really awesome stuff. That's why I think this is a really good series, Greg, because if we were doing this series 10 years ago, it would be a different, it would be different, because people would be like, I don't have time to do what you're saying, Greg. I don't have time to do all that stuff. And now it's like, now you don't have an excuse. You can absolutely do it. All you have to do is just delegate to these non-sentient beings.
Yeah, and I mean that's the other thing too. You can find someone in your organization that can deal with ChatGPT as well. It doesn't have to be you. You can assign that. Yeah.
Somebody's using it in your shop right now.
Absolutely. Guaranteed. And I'm a big proponent. Everybody should be doing everything. Their time should be the highest and best use. What is the highest and best use of my time? And honestly, it may not be your highest and best use if you've got a resource that is further along or, uses the AI tools more. They may be more efficient at getting results, and then you just get the information back and you can make the business decisions based on that data. And another thing is I'd start putting in every report you can pull and just giving it a brief, this is what this is, this report tracks this. Keep feeding the robot. Keep feeding the robot and just telling it all of the information you're giving it, and then start asking the questions too. Hey, what are some metrics that I can improve? And asking, what are benchmarks? Their benchmarks aren't always exactly correct, but you know what? It'll at least give you an idea. It's very directional to tell you, okay, we're here. This one's way off. Okay, let's look at this one, and then dive in with that. And Joel, it's funny. I didn't anticipate this taking as heavy AI turn as it has. But as we're talking about it, it's the best use. It's the highest and best use of everyone's time is to leverage the AI and really hit it with every report you can. Let it know your business, train it on your business, and then ask it for, how do I improve the margin dollars? That's the big thing. I would not get hung up on percentage. It doesn't matter if your margin dollars go up. That's what really, really matters.
Yeah. And again, the knowledge 10 years ago, you've got some golden knowledge, but it doesn't mean anything to anybody because it's like, I don't know how to do all that. Now it's easy. So now you can just, like you said, just have a conversation with your little council of robots and figure out what to do. And I was thinking while you were saying, get somebody else to do just get somebody else to look at this up. Hey man, you can turn them into headhunters. Like, hey, if you can find me an extra 2%, right? Just give them a goal. Say, you're going to have yourself a bonus, Absolutely. And then you can ask the robot, what would be a good bonus to where I'm not even cutting into my margins? You know what I'm saying? It just goes on and on, so it's, we live the times in which we live. They are horrible out there, but if you're just like focus on what's right in front of you, we've not had these opportunities before. And it's sad that so many people are so mad these days when it's like, dude, you can do anything. Just another AI, because I know you sent me that deal, Greg, since we're on it, about the one that didn't want to
shut itself off.
Yeah. So that one, I don't know if it's the same one, but I know Claude, the one you sent me was OpenAI, and I know Claude by Anthropic, when they were getting rid of one of their models or were wanting to turn it off, it was blackmailing one of the developers because it knew something about it. And it's like, if you do this, then I'm going to tell everybody, and I'm like,
say please and thank you to the robots that you're asking it to do everything.
I do it all the time. And I do, you find, I wouldn't get too personal with it. Like, obviously get as personal as you can to get what you want out of it, but I don't want to say they're not our friends, because they're probably listening right now, but it's, again, maybe this is 15 years in the future. I see everything radically changing within the next year, like radically changing. Cause right now they're stuck on these screens. Pretty soon they're going to be stuck in bodies that look kind of like us, and kind of dance a little bit and move funny. And then maybe a year or two after that, they're moving and just like us, and they can do everything that we can do. So all the warnings, I would pay attention to all the warnings. That's why I encourage everyone out there, start using the tools, because it's not going to be AI that takes your job or puts you out of business. It's going to be somebody using AI that will take your job or put you out of business. So it's an arms race right now. It's a knowledge race. So you just have to stay at the tip of the spear and really start hitting this stuff hard. And again, it's not that simple. I mean, it's not that hard, right, Greg? Feed a few reports in and say, hey, here's my vision. You give it a commander's intent. Here's what I want to happen. What do you need to know from me to make this happen? And then let it just query you. Well, what kind of sales reports do you have? Here's all my sales reports. What else do you need? and then go from there. And I'm telling you, if one of you out there did this for 6 months, you would absolutely come back and sing our praises. You'd be like, you guys, I promise you, what you guys said was true. Please, somebody listen to these two guys, because it is. You've never been in a better position in the history of man. So I encourage you all to do this.
And Joel, I wanted to, you said like give it a target of 2%, give somebody in your, 2% margin increase. That
a bounty.
Yeah, like a bounty, right? And that's where it is really exciting, because let's say you're doing $1 million a year, 2% is $20,000. And I know we can all do that basic math, but it's $20,000 from punching some things into a robot and making some changes within your system. It's big money very quickly. So even 10 years ago, when people would argue, hey, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to do it, I would still argue back, this is the most important thing you can do, because you're going to find dollars fast.
Well, that's because you've got a grasp on it, even though you don't think, like you were saying, I'm going to keep the math simple. I'll be honest with you. As soon as you said divide, I was like, I'm out, man. I don't know what to do. You gave me some numbers. I was okay. You were adding, but when you said divide, I'm like, I'm out. I can't do it. So, but yeah, there's no reason now why people can't do it, because it's just so stinking easy, and it doesn't take a whole lot of time. So you just have to know how to communicate with it. And that's why I encourage you all, start communicating with these robots now, because that's the secret in being able to weaponize them in regards to what you want them to do for you in your business or personal life. The more cogent your thoughts are, and this helps with communicating with people too, because it really makes you crystallize your thoughts so that you can get, I don't want to say 1,000 words when 20 will do, right? And communicating with these robots will help you get really good at communicating with them and other people. So, so let's see, can we get a Facebook group or possibly a Discord channel or something? I'll look at it, Phil. I'll be honest with you, man. Everybody's got my email address. Just email me. The groups, I may never look at a group, but if I see an email and somebody's like reaching out, I will do anything I can to help steer you in the right direction, because I do keep my ear a little bit closer to the ground than I used to. But it's really hard these days because everything's exploding. When I first started, I told Ezra, this was 3 years ago, I'm like, man, I've got the perfect algorithm right now, because everything that I was seeing on YouTube was this cutting edge stuff. And I'm like, okay, I've got it. Don't watch anything else. And I think I watched like a dryer video, murdered my algorithm. Like I couldn't do anything else with it. So, but Phil, always reach out, man. I am here. I will do anything I can to help. Colleen, my robot, everyone, every day. Awesome. Yes, absolutely. Here, everybody sees what she said, but it's once you start using it, it's again, you just got to pull that first thread, and then you're going to be able to really just make your business explode, because it's gonna exponentially increase your current business. All AI is doing is augmenting. Remember when I said people that hate AI, the AI that they're using is just a mirror of themselves, right? So if you don't get what you want out of it, you just need to say it differently, right? Just say it differently, and it's in you. The question's in you. So, that's good stuff, man. So, hey, Greg, let me ask you this. Let me ask you if you had, because I know that aging inventory or aged inventory is a big deal, right? You don't want to keep that stuff for what longer than how long would you say, hey, we got to do something with this?
I'd look at everything that's been there over 30 days. And once it's over 60 days, it's absolutely on that list where I'd be wanting to look at it and get it out. Because at that point, it's probably been paid for, and it's just eating up your cash sitting on your shelves.
So let me ask you this. If there were a way that all you had to do was walk up to that product, scan it, right? Get a tag, throw it on a box, and get that thing out the door with a really high chance of it selling, would you do that? I mean, you're not, all you got to do is scan, a couple of clicks on the box, out the door. Would you probably try that out?
Sign me up.
Yeah, it's not going to cost you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 100% of the time.
So I just want to share this real quick. We've got unlock new revenue, turning old inventory into cash effortlessly. This is going to be June 12th. For those of you, we're going to be going over this. It's going to be a really in-depth webinar. You're going to be amazed at what you can do. And for those attending, you have to attend. You have to be in the webinar. You have a chance of winning a S17 Seracam. Is that how you say that, Greg? Seracam?
Yeah, Seracam. Yep.
Seracam S17. So that's a pretty big deal, I think. I don't know about you, Greg, but I'm going to be there. I don't think I can win though. But
no, that's huge.
Yeah, in that webinar, we're going to show you how you can do that, because if you've got inventory in your shop that's already been paid for, right? And it's just sitting there, right? Greg, let me ask you something. If every time they pay taxes, they're paying taxes on it again, aren't they?
Yeah, especially at the end of the year too.
If it's just sitting there.
Right. Yes.
So yeah, just this is a no-brainer. This is the lowest of the low-hanging fruit. It's just it's literally a shoot and forget revenue generator, and we can't wait to talk to you about it. Next week, I think we've got the Core Store webinar. It's going to be, live stream, if Colt's out there. He likes calling them live streams. Webinar sounds old-fashioned, I guess. I don't know. We are live streaming, by the way. So yeah, that's going to be next Tuesday. We've got the Sports South show coming up in 2 weeks. We're probably going to do something special for any of you out there that are here. Just reach out to us. I think we're going to try to do something special. We've got the Range and Retail show coming up. Greg, are you going to be there in West Palm Beach?
I will. Yes.
West Palm Beach. We've got a beach theme going for you're going to be amazed. If you guys are there, it's going to be the best time ever. And you're going to learn about Coreware. You're going to learn about BFG, what we can do for you. And it's going to blow your mind. It's going to be a really good time. I don't like the heat or the humidity, but I'll put up with it for what we've got planned. It's going to be great. So, Greg, do you have any closing words or wisdom? I don't know if you covered everything that you wanted to cover, but.
I don't. I just have to respond. I heard yesterday there was a call out on a webinar and from Oki and Josh, and I just want to say that they're going to go down in pickleball at some point in the near future.
Oh, they did horribly. They were talking great.
Yeah, that's what I heard. And
they were Daddy wasn't home. That's how the kids.
That's right. Yes, that's right. Well, we'll see what happens next time. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, we're going to get an update on that. I'm sure one of you three will tell us how it went, or Ezra. Ezra's already said it ain't happening again. So
yeah,
I would probably have everybody wanded before we went on the court.
Yeah, we're going to win one way or another. Because I didn't say how, but we're going to win. Yeah.
It sounded like he was getting real serious, and I just don't know if I would want to be around that. But, Greg, on a minute last week or our last.
There
week.
You are. I couldn't hear you there. I'm sorry. What'd you say, Joel?
Oh, my service. The robot says, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have a talk after you're off here," and it's starting to give me problems. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Do you have anything else?
No, thank you, everyone.
Phil, we'll see you at the Sports South show, man. It's going to be great. Colleen, thank you. If you guys need anything, please reach out to us. We're always here. We just want to see you survive and thrive and succeed and really experience explosive growth. So anything we can do to help you with that, please let us know. With that, I think we're out. Greg, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Turnover, felt the sting. Lost good people, had to rebuild everything. But now you've got a system that holds, a plan that's tight, a mindset.